So you're thinking of moving to Salt Lake City, Utah. Well, in this video, we're going to cover the top 10 cons of living in Utah in general. And so I've already shared with you the top 10 pros of living in Salt Lake and the state of Utah. Now I wanted to share with you the negative side of that to give you additional reasons to consider and think about whether Utah is the right place for you to consider making a move to. And we're going to get after it right now. If this is your first time to the channel, and if you'd like to know everything there is to know about living in Salt Lake City, Utah, as well as the surrounding areas, then subscribe below, tap the bell for notifications so that you can be the first to know about the current market in Salt Lake City, Utah. Hi, my name's Steve Gilbert. I'm with eXp Realty, and my team and I, we get calls and emails every day from people just like you that are looking for help with making their move to Salt Lake City, Utah, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're looking to move in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text. You can always schedule a Zoom call with us. The information, it'll be in the description below. We'd love to help you make a smooth move to Salt Lake City, Utah. So as I mentioned, we are going to cover the top 10 cons of Utah. And so there's 10 on the list. I mentioned the other day, I posted and shared the 10 pros. Utah is such a great state, but there are some things that you do want to be aware of that do drive people nuts that move to Utah or that are currently living in Utah or that have been lifetime residents here in Utah. And so let's get right to it. Con number one, that's the weather. So Utah's weather, it is characterized by dramatic seasonal changes. Now there is beauty with these distinct seasons, but the abrupt transition between summer and winter, it can be a challenge, which is going to require adjustments that could potentially impact like your outdoor plans. Utah experiences cold, snowy winters, particularly in the higher elevations. This can lead to difficult commuting, property maintenance, outdoor activities, snow removal, and dealing with icy roads. It can be a hassle for a lot of people. During the winter, this can be considered one of the biggest cons in Utah, and that's the inversion that Utah experiences. And that is when the cold air and the pollutants, they get trapped in the valley, leading to poor air quality. This can be especially problematic for those individuals with respiratory concerns and overall health challenges. Springtime, it can be, well, unpredictable, right? With different fluctuations in temperature, potential for late season snowfall. This uncertainty, it does complicate things like gardening, outdoor events, and travel plans. Because Utah's a dry climate between lightning strikes and human activities, there's always an increased risk in wildfires during the warmer months. Wildfires, while they can threaten homes, communities, and natural habitats, leading to environmental safety, that can be devastating. Con number two, and that's the high taxes. So businesses, they get tax breaks, and that helps the economy. Those tax breaks, well, they don't always fall to the private citizens though. So there is a flat tax rate of 4.9% on all income, and that's one of the highest in the nation. Sales tax, they're also high, starting at 7% from the state. Local governments, they can add additional local taxes in certain areas as well. Utah has the 15th highest tax burden at 9.19%, and it has the 9th highest income tax. These tax rates, well, especially with income property, can weigh heavily on individuals as well as families. Higher taxes means less money in your pocket for savings, investments, or discretionary spending. High taxes, they do contribute to Utah's overall cost of living, and so when you factor in taxes along with housing, utilities, and other expenses, it can become challenging to make ends meet for some of the residents. Con number three is the lack of diversity. Utah's demographics, well, they paint a pretty clear picture when it comes to the state's lack of diversity. So the vast majority of its population is white, and the influence of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, commonly known as the Mormon Church, is evident throughout the state. This religious identity, it further contributes to the state's cultural similarities. While some areas of Utah are slightly more diverse, the overall composition, well, it remains pretty uniform. Even though Utah and people here have a reputation for being friendly, accepting, and helpful, you may not face persecution, but if it's important to have more diversity where you live, Utah might not be your first choice. Con number four, and that's the housing cost. So the average house in Utah, well, it's going to set you back around $425,000. Now that's not much higher than what the national average is. The national average is currently around $416,000. However, there's areas in Salt Lake City and other popular areas along the Wasatch Front where the median home price is more than $600,000. So Salt Lake City and the suburbs itself, it is more costly than the rest of the state, and it's higher than the national average as well. So Utah, we actually have the largest homes in the nation, averaging 2,300 square feet, and home ownership rates are higher than the national average as well. Con number 5, that's the remote areas. So there can be long areas where there is nothing but rocks and dirt. Now those rocks, they can be beautiful, but you can actually drive more than 100 miles without seeing a town or a gas station. So keep that in mind when traveling. You know, there are remote areas that don't have any type of cell service as well. And so if you get stranded for some reason, if you have car issues, then you're going to be, well, you better be prepared for a long walk in that event. So there is actually a stretch of interstate here in Utah on I-70. It goes 110 miles without any exits or any legal means of turning around. So this stretch of interstate I-70, which has no access to food, running water, or gas stations, means you're going to want to make sure that you've gassed up before you hit this stretch, which goes from Salina to Green River, Utah. Con number 6, that's the outdated alcohol laws here in Utah. So, you know, there has been some improvement in the recent years, but Utah, it does have some old-fashioned laws when it comes to the consumption of alcohol. So most of the state, it still allows 4% beers that can be sold in bars and restaurants. If you want to have stronger alcohol, you will need to go to the liquor store. These stores, they're not always open on Sundays, and even on national holidays, they can be closed as well. In most restaurants, you cannot buy alcohol unless you also buy food. And so there is a time when all sales stop, and you know, that's mostly midnight or a little bit later. Utah also has one of the strictest, or I should say the strictest DUI limit in the country at 0.05%. This includes not only driving cars, but riding bikes as well. Doesn't take much to reach that level of blood concentration. So instead, consider walking or taking an Uber wherever it's available. Con number 7, aggressive drivers. In my pros video, I talked about the friendly people that live here in Utah. However, Utahns, they do tend to put their foot down when driving the highways, and they do go really fast. And apparently that kindness, well, it doesn't always carry over to behind the wheel of a car. Now, there are state troopers along the highways and the freeways here in Utah that they do help control the speeding to some degree, but you may find yourself getting passed by some very fast cars, and that can be unnerving as well. So in addition to fast drivers, Utah, well, we're not proud of this, but voted by Forbes to be the worst state in the nation when it comes to dealing with aggressive drivers. So road rage incidents, they've been on the rise. Some contributing factors to this roadside aggression involves brake checking, improper lane changes, and impatience at the crosswalks. So the most likely location that you're going to find these occurrences are going to be near and on the freeways. Con number 8 is the public transportation. So there is some good public transportation in Salt Lake City, but not much of it anywhere else. So along the Wasatch Front, we do have the Front Runner train, which is available, and it runs from Ogden. It'll go all the way south through Salt Lake County into the Provo area, ends in Provo. Now the Trax light rail system, it runs through parts of Salt Lake County, but it's not offered anywhere else in the state. And so you're going to need a car if you want to live anywhere other than Salt Lake City or Salt Lake County specifically. And you'll need one if you live in any of the suburbs. So small towns have no public transportation, and there's very little available to get you from town to town. And so there are a lot of small towns and remote areas across the state of Utah. So it's probably not going to make much sense and be very efficient to have public transportation to them. But if you want to go there, then you're going to need a car. Con number 9, that's the job competition. So as Utah's population continues to experience growth, an effect that has rippled through the state's job market is giving rise to an increase in competition and competitiveness. So this surge in job seekers, plus the diverse talent and just being drawn to Utah's economy, it has ushered in an era where securing suitable employment that not only resonates with your skill set, but also provides the desired income and compensation, well, it's become a bigger challenge. And so in the pros video, I talked about the higher education levels here in Utah, and with that simply comes an increased competition in the job market. Con number 10 is the outdoor recreation congestion. So Utah, it's been known to be a paradise for outdoor lovers, and some of the most picturesque landscapes in the country are found right here in Utah. From the iconic red rock formations of Zion National Park to other beautiful areas like Bryce Canyon. So with the beauty comes great popularity, and the increase in tourism and the local interest, it has led to overcrowding in some of Utah's most beloved outdoor destinations. So the once tranquil trails and the viewpoints, they can sometimes feel more like crowded resorts, especially during that peak season. Utah's national parks, often considered the jewel of the outdoor recreation, have especially been affected. Areas like Canyonlands and Capitol Reef, among others, are experiencing higher foot traffic than ever before. This congestion, it not only affects the experience of visitors, but it also places additional strain on the ecosystems. Okay, so that wraps up our list of the top 10 cons of living in Utah. And so I hope that you found this video helpful. Between the video that you just watched and the video that I just posted about the top 10 pros to living in Utah, my hope was that that'll give you a good high-level idea and some things to consider about Utah, about what the people and the residents like and dislike about it, people that have moved here, what they like and dislike about it, so that if there's things that you do like or things that you absolutely can't live with, that you'll at least be aware of them. And so if you're thinking about making a move to Utah, to Salt Lake City, or to any of the surrounding areas, whether it's in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text. You can always schedule that Zoom call with us. The information, it will be in the description below. We'd love to help you make a smooth move to Salt Lake City, Utah. And until then, I hope to see you around town.